Namaste to everyone. Today we are here with the text You Can Create When Your Heart Longs for Singing, the text by Govinda Raj Bhattarai, and the text reading is in my own voice, Ashok Sabkota, where I work in Department of English Education, Tribhuvan University, Kirtipur, Kathmandu, Nepal. So, if you want to know more about the other text as well, you can subscribe, share and comment this YouTube channel, Ashok Sabkota. So, let's begin with the text. With audio text you can create When Your Heart Longs for Singing, written by Professor Dr. Govinda Raj Bhattarai. You can create when your heart longs for singing. Creative writing is not any variety of writing. It is the core and essence of writing, or the very heart of writing, the ultimate writing itself. Should one learn this? Or is it acquired? Or is it some endowment? It is hard to say. Since I have been doing this for the last 40 years, it has become so regular and essential part of my existence. I don't think I can survive without writing or fancying that I am writing or pretending that I am a writer, or contemplating writing, that is, creating with words. By writer, I mean a creative writer. So by writing, I mean creative writing entirely. However, I do not remember learning any lesson on this. I do not recall attending any conference or workshop on how to write poetry or essay. I just recall how I started writing the first creative sentences, putting simple thoughts that came out of the blue onto a piece of paper, and how I failed hopelessly time and again. And now I keep struggling endlessly, despite obstacles. I could not share this with anyone but my heart. Playing with words was a sheer joy in the beginning. Putting the words together to make a sentence or give a sense was almost similar to piling sand to build a house on a sandy road, which, however, would be swept away by a strong wind. I imagine today it was perhaps a useless pursuit of my parents and society, since they didn't want me to practice composing poems. They did not want me to write any stories and dramas, nor did my teachers expect such a thing from me. I rather expected good scores in the exams, certificates with top marks. My classmates did not like me, for I was trying my hands in creating poems or writing essays. My society was full unaware of such a hobby, its perennial value. They would rather call this a worthless quest. Creative writing was taken as a personal pastime then. The perception has not changed much yet, particularly in Nepalese communities. Then it was natural for me to fail, because all books I read gave me lessons on how to spell words, how to pronounce them, and gradually how to use them into appropriate sentences at most. My teachers would merely ask me to practice grammar and to parrot question answers, particularly those which they would thought were important for exams. Neither any teacher nor any courses mentioned anything at all, even in passing, about creative writing. One had to nurture this art individually and surreptitiously, so the experience of failure was confined to my heart. The perfect knowledge of grammar and vocabulary alone barely helps in creative writing. I also learned reading and writing, but the reading was just vocalization of black symbols and trying to understand their meanings word by word, and writing was just copying them onto my paper or copying those sentences to answer the questions in the exercises. This was merely an emotionless work that involved repeating a particular structure. My knowledge of sentences or sentence structures never ensured my writing skills, because the knowledge of vocabulary and syntax does not involve any faculty of imagination, which is the foundation of creative writing. A creation happens on its own, as if it were an hour of enlightenment, illumination. Therefore, even a great linguist or a great critic dies without producing a single piece of creative work. It is not related to anyone's degrees or diplomas or academic accomplishments. Creative writing is surely an art which is done with heart. Whenever I try to define creative writing, some vague images echo in my mind, and I somehow try to give them a dissensible shape. I started doing this 5 decades ago, and I am still pursuing the same practice without knowing any better. My struggle is not yet over. The more I do, once again, the more I do, the more I find myself far from the perfection. It feels like an infinite journey. You are always an apprentice in creative writing. For me, creative writing is an art of expression, all natural, spontaneous, and an inherently designed gift for human beings. Though this is not uniformly distributed among each and every mind, or better say, heart. All schools and colleges teach mathematics and sciences, languages and literatures, but there is no such course such as art of writing, or say creative, or creating something with words, images, imaginations and experiences, insights and revelation. There are, of course, some, but they teach answers to what are the features of creative writing. What are some of the best writings? What are a writing read smooth, well worded, pleasant and elegant? What makes enduring? What is new experimentation? Among Samrist Mugam or Virginia Woolf or Khalid Hosseini or Shankar Lamichhane or Arvinda Ardya or Paulo Coelho, who would you like to choose? Give reasons. Why? But this does not guarantee one that such a worldly knowledge will make him or her a creative writer. Most of those who teach this art can never put this into practice. What a great paradox! What a disparity between knowledge and praxis! There is not any parsala or school to learn, nor there is any way to teach creative writing. It is the manifestation of some inner heart, and for me it is learned and acquired both. One may ask me, how did you choose to be a writer then? Or, and how did you become a one? No, it was not my choice. It was time's. I think, in a way, it is the inheritance of society in which I grew up, and in a way, it is my family's legacy, especially my father's, that I tried to carry on, all by chance, by coincidence, never by any choice or design. My father used to sing rhythmic stanzas every morning and evening as a prayer or hobby. I later discovered that there were some classic works, especially of poetry in Sanskrit and Nepali, available at our home. Sometimes he would sing for us children in sweet voice, Jaya Tidam Janama Vajra Satya Indriya Saraswati. This is literally, let us sing the song who was born in Vajra, whom all Gopinis sing. We hardly understand its meaning then, But when we knew father was singing some great stanza in a praise of Lord Krishna from Bhagavad Gita with a sense of veneration, we listened to him wrapped in divine bliss. He would choose his eyes, sometimes stand up and dance on the floor. He was a different world. Sometimes he would sing नेपालीले बुझेनन् कृष्ण गीताका अर्थको गति गीता अनुवाद गरेको गन्न गर्दै यति मति. This came from Komal Gita, a Nepali version of Gita rendered by a great scholar Komalnath Adhikari. The stanza says, "O Nepalese, let's understand the meaning of Gita is Lord Krishna and let us sing the song of Gita in translation." Sometimes he would sing in a different language. I don't know which, may be Bajra he would sing. Jo साथी दुख पर्दा चिन्द्र दुर्वादा बन्यादि जय जंगा दिहा पवा. I could make it sense to some extent. He who fears his troubles and grief and sings the song of Lord of the universe will get his trouble removed with his glance. I can remember some 100 or more such songs and prayers, all rhythmic, all metrical, whenever he sang, all musical. Even some Vedic richas and hymns I can still recall and recite, though without making any sense. Every morning and evening he would repeat one song or the other, and gradually over a period of time they become mine too. I inherited this property involuntarily. I internalized them naturally without realizing their value and importance then, without understanding their meaning. Just rhythm and music must have penetrated deep down my consciousness. Not only this, we would hear people singing songs in the fields and pastures, in the hard bazaars, melas, festive occasions, in the wild, at home during the day or at night. The high hills and forests of the east reverberated throughout the year. Such a folk power must have gone deep down my psyche. I try to presume we Orientals have great appreciation for songs, better say musicality. It was deep rooted since our ancestors preserved this quality through the Samveda, which is said to have been created some 4,000 years ago. Only the great sages sang it since time immemorial, and this holy tradition got transformed into folk songs over the period of time. Samaveda survives in the form of mantra, hymn, prayer, and the last of all, folk songs in its crude form. This is my interpretation of why we attracted towards the musicality of language. And one day, when I read Andrew Clemer's appraisal of Jane Austen's language, I thought my belief was underpinned strongly. And I love Jane Austen's use of language too. The way she takes her time to develop a phrase and gives it room to grow, so that these clever, complex statements form slowly and then bloom in my mind. Beethoven does the same thing with his cadence and paraphrasing and structure. In fact, Jane Austen is musical, and so are the Yeats and Wordsworth. All the great writers are musical. Music originates in heart. Gradually, I started to copy some vague lines that my heart dictated, trying to imitate my father's metrical patterns into poems. But those are ridiculous and far from being presentable. I recited some at school level competitions, and yet I turned hopeless many times. But I never gave up. I continued reading some books and composing poems regularly without success until I was 21. By then I had composed quite a good number of poems, some in metrical verses, others in free, trying to liberate myself from the given models, yet without such success. I can compose metrical poems perfectly, but a poem is more than one's fit performed through the meter. It is the most difficult area. Today, I feel that every prospective writer in the beginning tries to grasp poetry, and every great author ends with poetry. One of the most difficult genres in the beginning, he does so by imitating or copying or plagiarizing or internalizing some models, some samples by the well framed preceders. Poetry looks apparently easier, and therefore he ventures into it. But it takes one long to understand why poetry is so deceptive an art. As one goes deeper and deeper into, he understands its gravity and its mystifying nature. Consequently, it may read like a twisted echo or a piece of cambric. There is no school to teach you how to compose a poem. No one teach you fit, meters, free forms, comment, critic on your compositions, but none can tutor you how it is manifested. Exactly, it is a kind of self-realization and never be attained fully. I wrote poems sparingly, which may amount to be 100. I composed more of love poems during my youthful days, wrote some satirical ones later, practiced so more serious and in sublime tone after that, but in total, hardly a dozen of them are published. When I compare with great poems, mine are quite trivial, and I feel ashamed of those creations every time. You cannot evaluate your own poems appropriately. Your job is to write poems, and it is the audience who knows the flavor in it. Thus, I stand with the feeling that among creative writers, poets must be the highest hierarchy because a large amount of their efforts remains submerged like an iceberg by the time they become worth reading for the society. When I found poetry so baffling, I gave up and switched to another genre, novel. I wrote Moglan, my first novel in 1974, just in 7 days. Got it published, editions followed and other creations followed thereafter, but I cannot say how I wrote and what made me accomplish a work that is being perceived well till today. Most of my writing career is trajectory of fiction, essay and criticism with occasional toppings of poetry. Creative writing has several entities and exits. You may choose one or another. My experience says if poetry falls, try essay. If essay falls, try fiction. If both fall, try drama. If everything falls, criticism will be awaiting you. For many, criticism is the first priority because they don't know anything, or for some, it is the last resort because they know other things. A critic may be a good preacher, not an author or writer for me. Every creative writer is a self-made person, self-taught disciple, or self-crafted artist, and a club bear in true sense. I can draw my experience that creative writing is learned by one's efforts increasingly over a period of time with the gradual accumulation of experience and addition of small knowledge particles provided. He or she never gives up or never does expect for any material gain and is very ready to continue their efforts for deciphering the mastery of the world mystery of the larger creation. Creative writing is an endeavor to decipher creation. It is an effort to find out man's position in this universe. Existence is the mistake, and so are creative writing and a creative writer. What makes one creative writer? Creative writing is not made up of a single ingredient, it is rather a fusion or a blend of many. No book tells you which of the ingredients to select or leave, out of which purpose, how to measure and how to apply them proportionately so as to give it a perfect test, as if it was the proportionate use of spices in an Asian casino, especially curry. It depends on individual art and intuition and experience and experiment and all above perseverance, playfulness that lead you to this act. Creative writing is like this. It is all a question of personal choice. This makes hundreds and thousands of poems different from each other, thousands of fiction different from other, though everybody chooses the same theme of love and separation, or war or revolt, or jealousy or frustration, or death, or one of the infinite themes available. Creative power is individual. We know a creative writer by his intellect, the use of language. It is the style that distinguishes one creative writer from other. It is the use of such a creation. They say a creative writer or an art recreates life. It reproduces what man would achieve, whatever lies unattended in his mind and heart. So they say a creative work is a replica of broken dreams and unfulfilled desires. Truly, the past focused on recreating personal dreams and desires, but today, with a great shift of time, society is at the center. Ethnicity, community, racial identities have come to the fore, and they are recreating racial memories and ethnic identities via writing. Out of different genres of creative writing, poetry has truly become a weapon or a voice of voiceless. See how International Poetry Day awakens people from the deep slumber, an individual in the contemporary society where everybody is claiming his or her identity. They need greater power. They wear the power of poetry. A great poems fights for freedom, identity, empowerment, and existence. It ensures survival while creating an art at the same time. They often ask which language for creation. This is mere politics. A literary creation has no language other than that of art. It writes in the universal language of humanity, of love, of compassion, of togetherness. In Samuel Johnson's terms, this dress of thought reveals and conceals both. It is worth quoting William Hazlitt, the great English essayist of 20th century, who states, "Poetry is the universal which the heart holds with nature itself. He who contempt for poetry cannot have respect for him or for anything else." When they ask, "In which language should I create?" I answer, "Words, images, or stone, wood or wind, clay or your vocal cords, or colors of your dancing feet. All your actions can create a prayer. Creative writing is like a prayer to Lord Shiva. Yatyat karma karmayogi tandidam sambho tandidam. Whatever action do I perform, walking or sleeping, eating or singing, or mere talking, this is your prayer only, my Lord. Yes, creative writing has been a prayer for me since I dived into the lake of it. Gandhi says, "Prayer is the longing of the soul." I have been singing the songs of my soul using the words and images for the last 40 or more, and will keep singing all my life until the existence gives me with a single breath. These songs comes from the deep corners of my heart, all offerings to the existence, to the world, to the humanity, and to the God. All my writings, therefore, have been songs of heart, sagas of my heart, painful or blissful, yours too long or singing. If you feel throb inside you, you will try to recognize the veiled energy within you. If you listen to urge within you. It is only that you need to listen to your heart, leaving your mind far away. Let us all listen to the inner being and sings of our heart. Let us all listen to our inner being, sings of our heart. Text by Govinda Raj Bhattarai, In the Pilgrims, a collection of essays, the forthcoming. Thank you.